You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the August 28th meeting of the Michigan City Historic Preservation Commission. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Tonight, can we do a roll call?
Do you want me to?
Please.
Okay. Joyce Dalton,
Present.
Dan Granquist. There. Dwight Hurt. Here.
Dwayne.
Apologies. Lawrence Zimmer. Amy Bowman.
Here.
Gigi. Jonas Zimmerman. Greg Coulter. Deb Parcell.
Here.
Kyle Petter. Present. Okay, that is everyone.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve our agenda?
I see one that's crossed off, so I take that's already been deleted. Any additions, last minute additions?
No, the one that's crossed off, the
Motion to approve as presented.
Do you want to talk about the?
Do I have a second?
The change.
Yes, that's true. We do need to,
Amend it?
414.
414, so that would be 2023-064, in addition to removal of brick chimney, which is a retroactive approval that they're asking for, is also removal of a second chimney.
Correct.
So we need to add
So
that
is that a
removal.
COA number?
No, it's just
No,
an addition.
It's the same as the
So,
414 East 10.
yeah,
Yes.
it's expanded to include
It's
a second
removing of
chimney.
another chimney.
Okay. So
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve as amended?
approve as expanded and amended.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Okay, how I wrote on your paper.
That's
This
okay.
is the old thing.
Oh, okay. I'm like, I have no
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, did everyone have a chance to read their minutes from the last meeting?
No, they didn't.
No.
Well, whether you read them or not, you're to approve.
Can I have an approval, please? Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, any correspondence?
No.
Okay, thank goodness, right? Okay, we're going to start with the maintenance review.
So the first one is COA 2023-056, and this is at 412 East 8th Street, and this was East 8th Street. And this was for paint. They requested to paint their siding, power wash, and then scrape any loose paint using Sherwin-Williams Downing sand, which is a brownish color for the trim, and then Sherwin-Williams Rockwood Jade for the body of the house. And this was approved with the condition that the paint that the power washer would not exceed 1500 psi. And the reason for that is the higher the psi, the greater the chance of stripping more than just paint, but also wood. So so it was approved with this condition because with a lower psi, the chances of stripping more than just paint is greatly reduced. The next COA is 2023-057, and this is for 411 Franklin Street. And this was the repaving of a parking lot, and this is something that was approved as it was just like for like replacement. The next COA is 2023-063, 414 East 10th Street. And this is for roof replacement. This is to replace the existing rubber roof with a rubber roof on the top section of the house. In this case, the house has two sections. It has a lower kind of porch section that is a asphalt roof, but the section that he was going to be replacing is the upper part of the roof. And this was approved as like for like. The next one is COA 2023-067. And this was repair and replace front deck boards with new wood, paint or stain the front deck with Sherwin-Williams Grizzly Gray, install black 5-inch gutters and downspouts, and install window panes in the original windows in the attic. And this was approved as submitted. Then the next one is COA 2023-070, and this is 444 Wabash Street. And this was paint. They proposed painting the siding in the color white, and this was approved as white is kind of seen as a part of the approved color palette. The next one is COA 2023-071, 916 Pine Street. And this one, my letter. Repair and replace 8-inch cedar siding, repair and replace soffit, fascia, and adding vents to the soffits, paint the house in white, repair and reglaze, rebuild existing windows, repair, replace window hinges, paint the front porch deck black, repair, replace brick foundation slash basement, and do repointing. This was approved with the condition that repointing, if necessary, will use the proper mortar mix, color, texture, color, and style of joints as existing. That is all of the maintenance reviews.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions about any of those? Okay, we're going to move on to our COAs. And the first one has been crossed off, as you see.
And the first one was withdrawn by the owner, so they want more time to prepare. So possibly next month we'll be seeing them. But
What address is that one?
that is 215 East 8th Street. That was one that was before us in June, I believe, and you guys approved most things with the exception of the windows on the front and the porch. Those needed to be staff reviewed, and there was some discussion about that because they'd already, work had been approved in 2021, and then work never commenced and the permits expired, and so they had to come back. And in the meantime, they bought material but never installed it, and it didn't conform to what was approved, so.
Okay.
There's some discussion, ongoing discussion, so possibly next month they'll be prepared and back, but they decided, they asked us to withdraw it from this month's agenda because they weren't quite ready, so.
I screwed over, I didn't get a packet.
Nobody did.
Oh, okay. Well, I got to look at Deb's report.
So the first one we've got
If you don't mind.
on the agenda is 2023-059. That's for 320 East 8th Street in Alston Grove. It's rated notable, built around 1890. The proposed project is repainting the building using the same colors, which is Sherwin-Williams 2291 Hacienda for the body of the house, and 2391 Fallen Water for the gables and porch fascia. And the trim will be white. The proposed colors are not from the pre-approved palette. They are Sherwin-Williams colors. They're from an older version. If you go into the Sherwin-Williams store, they'll flip out the old palette and show you these colors. So they're not current, but they're the same colors that are on the house prior to them fading a lot in the sun. So it's what was already there. The proposed colors will match the existing paint. There's a lot of deteriorated wood, so the wood needs to be repaired before that, and loose paint scraped, not power washed. So the staff recommendation is approval as submitted with the condition that all deteriorated wood, which would be the clapboard siding, the shaped shingles, soffit, fascia, porch columns, all of that, be replaced as necessary to match the existing in size, material, and profile before painting.
Is there any questions concerning that?
I do have a question. I don't know if the building owner is here tonight. Is that okay?
I hear mine.
And this is not for you yet, but I do have a question for you. Would there be any benefit to, since the entire house is being painted, to recommend it that a color be chosen that is within the palette?
You can certainly do that.
Is there?
Can I speak to that?
Sure.
Yeah, please, you know, the recommendation, you're repainting the whole thing, and why could it not be altered to be a
Well-
color that's more in keeping with what's anticipated for that area?
To answer your question, it could, it's certainly possible. My request is utilize the same colors that have been on the building for the last 28 years. This is a hacienda and falling water, and the other color, which is white, which I don't have. And this was originally chosen from a Sherwin-Williams historical palette when I first, actually, before I started painting, when I first acquired the building. You're right across the street here. And
Wait a minute, are you saying was there an historic review board then that
it's possible to
had a different palette of colors?
No,
No,
this
that's what I'm
was
saying,
on the
it's a
palette,
palette.
but Sherwin-Williams changed their palette.
Oh, so that's where the change came from.
So I picked out a palette that Sherwin-Williams recommended for Victorian homes, which I like. I think it looks very nice. When it's finished, it looks nice. And I painted all my buildings, every inch of them inside out myself. They're all Victorians. By the way, this building is actually, I think, 1879, not 1890, but that's not really as critical. Anyway,
Is your sample there, the actual paint?
yes. Would you like to see it?
Maybe they're not, it's not quite as Barbie as the picture looks.
When people say, you know, the pink building, it's not pink, it's called hacienda, but, and when I put new paint on, it's a little brighter, but with the sun directly facing, especially, the south side of Main Street there, it really takes a beating, so it really lightens up.
But it may be the images that we got, when I was looking at this earlier, it was online, and it was a picture of a picture, and because the blue looked really, really blue, and the pink looked way too pink, but the samples you've got there are
Yes.
much less obnoxious than what the images were that we were getting.
Because on here it looks yellow and pink.
Yeah, I mean, pictures a lot of times,
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
as you know, we don't really do it justice, but,
It's nice that you care so much, though, and I see that the colors are not as Barbie as they're looking for.
Barbie's in.
I don't think people like Barbie today.
Right.
But they won't tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions? And staff has approved? Okay, we'll move on to the next one, and you're welcome to stay.
Move to approve as recommended by staff.
Could I have a motion for that? And then you, if you want to stay, you're welcome. If not, you
Yeah, I've got one more, actually.
okay, go ahead.
I just did recommend approval as submitted by staff. Approval is submitted with conditions. Be replaced as necessary to match existing size, material, profile before painting commences.
Do I have a second, please?
I second.
Okay, Judy. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we move right next door to 322 East 8th Street. This one's rated contributing. Built somewhere around 1895, hopefully. Don't know how reputable our records are, but that's what we have. The proposed project is repainting the building using the same color. This one's called Layers of Ocean for the body of the house, and white trim. So again, the proposed colors are not from the current pre-approved palette. They will match the existing paint. Numerous pieces of the siding on this house are deteriorated. So repair all deteriorated wood before painting, scrape loose paint, do not power wash. Staff recommendation is approval as submitted with the condition that all deteriorated wood, clapboard siding, trim, etc. be replaced to match the existing new material size and profile before painting commences.
Any questions?
And this is from the same palette.
This is, yeah, also Sherwin-Williams. This is the color here. It's close to it. Yeah, I think you have a blue-gray on your palette. It's pretty close to it. Not this exactly. There's the only two colors on the building is blue and white. This color is white.
One of the recommendations is about replacing any of the pieces of wood that are damaged. And in looking at the pictures, the wood members above the porch look like they're in really rough shape, maybe because there might have been some water intrusion there or whatever. Are you prepared to make all those kinds of changes as well?
I will be appearing probably next month, not the meeting next month, certainly no meeting the following meeting. And I'm submitting, Kyle and I and Sue Downs and the inspector had a discussion about this. I'll be submitting a detailed proposed plan to Kyle tomorrow with copies to the others. And we've come up on a basic plan on how to do this. But to answer your question on the painting, what I do is, as I go along, I replace the clapboards. And basically, the clapboards that I'm replacing are the same size, but they're better quality. It's a cedar clapboard that I'm using to replace it. So as I go along, as I'm scraping and painting, and I've never used a power washer on any building, I always scrape by hand. So as I go along, I replace the wood. So it's more economical that way to do it than to try to replace everything first and then paint it later. So I don't have to be up there twice.
Any other questions? May I have a motion, please?
Motion to accept.
Okay, motion by Dwayne. Do I have a second?
A second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. All right.
Thanks for all your work to fix up.
Thank you. It's a labor of love.
Yes.
Really?
It would have to be.
Okay, we're on to 2023-061 for 124 West 4th Street. It's a parapet front Italianate building, rated contributing, built around 1880. The proposed project is repair and restore the facade of the Ritz Club Tavern and replace deteriorating shingle roof on the rear of the building. The facade design, moldings, look, and color will not change. We will simply be restoring the facade to its original condition. The only enhancement will be to add appropriate facade lighting to light up the front sidewalk for safety purposes and to enhance its historical architecture. So,
Is
the
there any,
owner is here for that one somewhere.
is the owner here for that? For the Ritz Club?
Well, I will make the comment, we've had some scheduling problems. He comes in late and by the time he comes to work, I'm actually off work. So we've had a lot of trouble getting together. So I actually have not been able to talk to him about specifics. So I'll just give what I have and that's the best we can do. I was hoping he'd be here to clarify some of the details. So the finding of facts, the roof is an in-kind replacement. It's at the rear of the property. The storefront wood is deteriorated. Only storefront materials will change. The color, design, and moldings will remain the same. The lighting detail, to my knowledge, is unknown. You don't have a sample of that, do you? Okay. So the motions that I would recommend is for the roof, approval as submitted For the storefront, approval is submitted with the recommendation that the owner consider a more durable product than wood. This building faces north, it takes a lot of weather. I would recommend he look at something like James Hardie fiber cement panels for that instead of wood so that it would last longer. And then the light, I would recommend that you allow staff to approve his choice and location once we know what that is.
Any other questions?
Do we have any ideas of, I mean, I understand that it's just the facade, but I mean, how do we know that the design of the facade is not gonna change?
I don't know that we know
Well,
that.
let's hope that it does.
Well, we can hope, but that doesn't
We
mean.
can require it, can't we?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, you can require that, yes.
And if it's being painted the same color, we can't quite tell what that
I
color is.
don't know what that color is.
Yeah.
I have
So
no
that has to
idea.
be determined. We could leave that to staff as well.
Mhm.
Would you like to make that motion?
Well, all right. I move that we recommend approval as long as the design of the front facade does not change and the decorative elements remain as they are. And that the owner should go to staff for approval of lighting and the color for the front facade.
I think, this is just my opinion, but to find that wood that was made like 20 years ago, that was just plain paneling.
It looks
That-
like plywood.
Yeah,
It is.
it never has looked good. And I'm not saying that to be vindictive, but that does not look like the front of a tavern. It looks more like a playroom or something. I just think that it should be a more suitable front. And maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't, but does everyone have a picture of it to see what it really looks like?
Yeah, I've been by to look at it.
Yeah,
My feeling is that there's some prefabricated purchased medallions that are stuck on there
Yes.
that don't seem appropriate to me.
right.
So if he wanted to, I know he wants to just replace everything in kind, but if he wanted to just leave those medallions off, I think that would be an improvement.
Well, are there too many questions remaining then?
Yeah, there kind of are. I think he should come back with adjusting his request to leave the medallions off, to tell us what the paint color is, and to better describe the lighting choices.
Well, let's break it down into three parts. Approve the roof, if that's in
Yeah.
Yeah, you
kind.
could at least do the
Approve the lighting, subject to staff approval, because you can work directly with that simply
Yeah,
enough.
that's one simple thing, but
And
have him
then-
come back. Well, maybe you should then deny the
Deny
storefront
the storefront.
portion. And then ask him to come back with the new application next month, once he's got details.
That sounds like a good idea.
All right,
and talk about the material use.
Right, yeah, yeah, all of that. Design, color, materials, all
Right.
that. Mhm.
all right. Who's making that motion?
I just did.
Okay.
Approve roof as submitted. Approve lighting, subject to staff approval, because you can work directly with that on a more simple basis.
Right.
All
And
right,
deny the storefront request, so you
paint
can come
color.
back with a new application.
Second for that?
second that.
Thank you, Dwayne. All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Opposed, same. Okay,
So Kyle, we want to know the materials and the color and the design, less the medallions.
Yes.
Finish making my notes, because otherwise I won't remember this tomorrow.
well, there's a few things here.
Okay, got that one done. So we're on to 2023-062, correct, for 902 Franklin. In the Franklin Street Commercial District, it's Ready Contributing, an Italianate built around 1902. 4 parts to this proposed project. 1 is removing the Oriental Pearl sign. 2 is removing the wooden awning. 3 is removing all paint from all brick to expose original brick lines and original construction history. And then finally, tuck pointing and performing masonry repairs necessary before any further work is done. So the following actions are recommended. Finding of fact, the sign is definitely not a character defining feature of the property. The awning is not historic. The paint should be removed in such a way as to not cause further damage to the bricks below it. Replacement bricks, if needed, should match the existing, and mortar should be similar in strength, color, and joint rake depth, and decorative finish. So the motions I would recommend for the sign: approve the removal as submitted. Awning, approve the removal as submitted. Removal of the paint, approval, but with conditions. I would recommend doing a test square to determine the effectiveness of the method on the brick, see what happens after we've done that. I think he's looking at probably a chemical method. There's also a little discussion of ice blasting and some other things. So we would ask that there be like a 6-foot square test area.
6 inch.
I'm sorry, yes, 6 inch.
I was gonna ask.
Yes, not 6 foot, and I did, that's what happens when you work late at night, 6 inch. 6 inch, I'm reading my own notes, yeah, 6 foot would be really big. 6 inch square test, so we can see what happens with that. If a chemical method's chosen, I would also ask they provide a material safety data sheet so we can see what the chemical is, and if that's something that sounds like it should be used. Most of the building is an older brick, but that front part, you could see where some of it was infilled later, part of the storefront, so that's obviously a different brick, probably a harder brick. So we want to see how that works on all of that. And then the repointing and repairs as necessary, I would recommend approval of that with the condition of a mortar test to be approved by staff, so that we know it's the right thing.
Is there anyone here representing that building? Anyone have any questions?
I want to just ask Deb, or maybe the other board members, just in terms of the mortar, the test, if we can state that any more clearly, when you repoint a building, if it's not done properly, it can look so awful. You know, if the mortar is mushed over the tops of the brick, it can just look so terrible. And if we can try and make sure that there's a demonstration of how the mortar will be put back in. The assumption is they might have to clean the mortar joints and then add a little more to top it up and hopefully strike it appropriately. It's probably hard to tell on an old building how it was originally done, but just to strike it is the one thing to make sure that happens. And that's the idea of the test, and if we can state it more, a little more strongly to make sure that that's understood, that that's what we're aiming for.
I'm not sure exact wording, but I know you're absolutely right, because we want to be sure of that.
Do you have any questions about the approvals and review?
No, as I mentioned to Deborah, we're committed to, really bringing this back to historical value. We love what 904 through 906 is next door. And the Pearl is just literally such a sore, we all know.
Yes.
But I mean, if you look across the street also, you've got the Mullins building, you got the Farina's, you've got the Burger Place, you got Remax, that's the same. We want to continue that. We're trying to go for that trans and glass look, although I'm sure it's not behind that awning.
Be a great surprise.
I wish it was, but I don't think so. But, we're looking to doing that as well, and we're here for the long run.
Thank you.
Have you looked at any portions of the brick, removed any of the paint to see what kind of condition it's in?
Other than what's literally flaking that you can pick off on the sidewalk as you walk by,
Yes.
no. And that's why we needed to get somebody to come in professionally.
As you can see.
So we can actually see what the brick is. Obviously, the back section, I don't know how many feet, I thought the back 20, 30 feet. That was an add-on.
Right here.
Who knows how many, years ago, 50 years ago, they could have had that on, I'm not sure. But they did convert it from a corner entry building to that center facade entry. They have that corner entry directly across Kitty Corner. So we're gonna be looking at possibly bringing it back to that. We're looking for photos and and trying to find something that will tell us exactly what was there.
Do you have a tenant for the building?
No,
And is the second floor apartments?
if they were, the building has been completely gutted.
And will they be returned to apartments?
Correct.
Oh, God, that's great. That's great.
Okay, any other questions for us? Can we have a motion, please?
Trying to figure out how you would state this because the recommendations you have are good, but also maybe just to state that that we would be looking for an example of how they plan to repoint the mortar, to clean and repoint it.
In your letter, approval letter, you can state that clearly, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause Kyle takes this and writes it up in a letter.
And clearly, we have a motion to approve the sign removal, motion to approve the awning removal as submitted, and removal of paint on the conditions of evaluation, testing, as he'll present in the letter of approval, and then the approval of repointing and repairs necessary for the mortar so you can fix it up nicely, as he'll present it in the letter. So, understand that?
Thank you. We needed that to get started.
Yeah. So
Do we
that's my
have a
motion.
second?
I second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same.
Thank you for all your work there.
Thank you. That'll be very nice, yes. And same too, the gentlemen are welcome to stay, and if you don't want to, you don't have to.
This is so exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 2023-064 for 414 East 10th Street. This is the one that we've added onto the proposed project. At the time I wrote it was retroactive approval of chimney removal, which you see in the photo is this pile of bricks in the yard. Already gone. We did, Kyle approved a roofing request for them, but we felt because the chimney was removed, it needed retroactive approval, but I guess there's two chimneys, correct? And so now they're also asking for the second chimney to be removed. So, okay, so the one that already is gone is the circled one in the middle that you could see
Yes.
from the street. And then the other one is farther back, which could not be seen from the street. Is that correct?
Is there anyone here representing this building?
So they took it out and just, was it the center of the house, was it?
Yeah, it looked like, here. So here's the picture that I took the other week with it gone, and here's the Google Street View with it there. So it wasn't a large chimney, but it's
Yeah.
not there at all. So they're re-roofing, and they sent photos that a mason took, right, of the one that's still there. And he said it would cost, I don't know, upwards of $2,000, I think. I mean, cost is really not your consideration, so not talking about the cost part, I guess, but they felt it's not feasible to repair, and they'd like to
Oh.
take that off while they're re-roofing.
I think
you-
that-
There's no fireplace or anything
No.
inside that requires this, so.
Well,
No,
there is, because they want to replace it with a vent,
Vent, yes.
correct?
I think that was on the front one. And,
I don't think so, I think it's this one.
Oh,
Isn't
Well,
that what
maybe-
his letter said?
maybe that's the only thing that's venting out of that chimney.
Let me
So they
pull up
wanna
that.
take the brick down and put a metal in it?
No. I thought,
It's like it's just like a circular, vent, not even like a chimney, it's just a circular vent that just sits on.
so you're talking about a metal vent for,
He said the first chimney was, this is from the applicant to Kyle, okay, earlier today, right? And Kyle forwarded to me. He says, I need to move ahead with the chimneys. The first chimney was in bad condition. As you know, it was falling down, and we've already finished knocking this one off. The other one is also in bad shape, and that's what you have those photos of. Here's a letter documenting this. The strongly suggested course of action for effectiveness and safety and best water penetration protection is to replace them with low-height aluminum vents. It would be onerous to the owner to replace it with another brick chimney that won't work as well, need steady maintenance, and be much more expensive. The permitted work on the roof is wrapping up. It'd be better to do those vents now in combination with roof work for a better waterproof seal.
Okay, you cannot use aluminum on a fireplace. It has to be metal vent.
And if it's a fireplace, or if it's anything with heat coming out of it, it's gotta be 3 feet high. Oh,
Yeah,
in relation to the highest point in the roof.
Around it, yeah.
but you can't, what he states about aluminum, you cannot use aluminum on any kind of vent
Okay.
where there's heat. So it can't be aluminum.
He hasn't been to the building department with any of this.
Would that be a building permit issue?
I would think so.
Oh, yeah.
I would think it would be.
I would think so.
So we could decide this based on what would be acceptable in terms of the historic neighborhood. But that they would have to build what would comply with the building code, which is probably not what they're trying to put out.
Right. Aluminum is a lot cheaper, but it's not, you can't,
But there are metal,
yeah, it's called metal vent.
metal vents, and they can be round or square.
Yeah, usually round.
Yeah, usually round.
And it could be internal to a brick surround.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be supported entirely, brick, but the appearance.
But what he's saying here, I can see by looking at that, to repair that chimney would be very costly. You might as well, like Larry stated down there, take it out and put something that is up to code and will handle the heat.
Yeah, but that's not historically what we
No, but
want.
if it's in the back, you're not gonna see it from the front anyway.
Well, we have to deal with what they need to do with the one at the front as well, because they've probably got to put something there.
That one was visible, obviously, and it's gone already before it ever
See,
got
there I
to us.
think it needs to go to the building commission, because are they gonna put a high efficiency furnace in? Then they don't need a chimney.
Yeah,
So that's things we won't know unless they tell
right. We don't
somebody.
know what their intent is
Right.
with these chimneys.
Right,
So I think we need more clarity.
Retroactive approval of removal, and then come back with plans for installation.
And if time is a problem, then maybe he can just, you and Sue can negotiate with him
yeah.
what it is he's doing, and then what he's gonna replace it with, if he's gonna take them down. But if there's still gonna be for exhausting heat, then they still should be brick then. And if he wants to put a metal liner in there, that's fine. But
Yeah, I think you guys need to specify what you
Yes.
expect to
What-
see
what it
so that
is.
we can back that
Well,
up.
I think what Larry just stated is perfect, because otherwise it won't stand up.
Well, but I think what you were saying is that you still thought that brick would be important, and it's not necessary in terms of code and proper functioning
No.
for anything. So there's no reason they would have to do brick, except if we decide that it would be inappropriate to see the other kind of chimney.
Well,
And that's a question with this house. It's what would you think the age of that is?
it says 1920 years.
Give or take.
I just have a picture of the pile things. And here's a picture.
If it's going to be the front one, it needs to be brick.
So this is the
That's
one
historic.
that they're in front of
Yeah,
us now.
because
This
it's
is the one
visible,
that's in
and that's
pile
a
right
deal.
there.
I mean, I think it would look very bad to have a metal pipe sticking up where you can see it from the street. But if it's only the one in the clear back, then you can't see.
Then there's no
It really
problem with
matters.
that. Otherwise, it needs to go with a historic
So the point would be that if there has to be a chimney because it's going to continue to function as a fireplace or some kind of
Furnace.
exhaust, then and it needs to come above, at least up to 3 feet, then it would have to be brick. And I was just trying to think of the concern about cost. It's not that big a thing to,
I guess,
To
you know,
be-
after seeing the pictures, I don't feel like they impact the visuals of the house that much. They're far enough back, they don't really affect the look of the facade. So I guess I wouldn't be opposed if maybe they could be painted a dark color to match the color of the roof, so at least it doesn't stick out like a hunk of, you know, silvery
as those
steel.
modern chimneys do.
Yeah,
Well, if it is a fireplace, they could use the black pipe.
yeah, sure.
If you've been to the house, can you see the one chimney from the front, from the street?
The one that's still there? No, you
The
cannot.
one that's not there? I mean, can you see where it would have been?
You would have seen the top.
Because it was not real tall, but it was there.
Well, we can approve the first motion, retroactive approval of the unauthorized removal, and then deny the current plans, but approve subject to some kind of a brick, an acceptable brick facade around any kind of an insulated pipe, subject to building code approval.
So of the building department and Kyle.
But then they could come back to staff for approval of the brick facade kind of thing, because that would just be like a facade around it.
I think that's
It looks right.
what the owner is saying, though, that he doesn't want to
It's too
incur the cost of
expensive.
putting
They don't have to
brick.
bring it all the way down.
What, most chimneys in the basement aren't that, it's the up above. And you can't, if you took it all out, then unless they're putting in a high efficiency furnace, which we do not know, you have to vent it through a chimney of some sort.
But then
Need to
approval,
entertain
what we will, and then if he doesn't want that, he can come back with more plans. Or revise it. He submitted something, or else we just deny it altogether.
Okay. Any other questions? Do we have a second to Dan's motion?
Would you, Dan, do you mind repeating?
Dan's motion, exactly.
Approve number one, retroactive approval of the unauthorized removal of the chimney.
Hope you remember what he's saying, because I can't
That's
write
right,
that
yeah.
down, but
That's right there.
number one.
Our secretary is not here
Yeah,
tonight, so we got two people working on this, so I
Not good.
apologize. No, you're doing
Not
fine.
good.
Okay. Do I have,
And then approve reconstruction of the chimney with acceptable brick facing, facade, whatever you want to call it, that's acceptable from historic perspective, or anything above the roof, subject to building department approval.
and the building department knows if they're gonna put in a high efficiency or just gonna,
We would hope to find out.
and Sue would do that.
And if that's not good for the owner applicant, then they can come back with the new application with more specifics or explanation.
And they may not be putting in a furnace at all.
Oh,
Isn't this just about re-roofing?
It's about re-roofing.
It's about-
So they might.
but they have no chimney, they have to do something.
Yes, right.
It's a question.
Okay,
And it can't be that big a deal to
I don't know
restore
that.
that.
Do you?
No, none of us do.
We know the far back one is needed, but I don't know that we know about the one that was visible.
Well, I think if Sue and you both go and are able to get in and see, that would answer a lot of the questions that we've,
Or just ask the owner, what are the functions of the chimneys?
right.
So all we're trying to do here is give a little bit of approval that he can keep going if it's acceptable to him, but otherwise we just deny it and then he has to start over.
So if the chimneys are required, we should ask for them to be, the brick to be put back.
Yes.
I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
What is the function of the chimneys if they are required? Put the brick back
On both chimneys.
on both chimneys. And the brick is already there, they just have to hire somebody to come back and put them back up.
Okay, so are you seconding Dan's motion, Larry?
Well, I don't know if we're rewriting his motion.
Well, I think that's what we're saying,
Okay.
and
It's
if he's
just
got
more
better words.
specific. More specific, I think. Okay. And anybody have any questions about either, what either gentleman said?
The secretary, don't call me secretary.
We'll stay after and help.
Yeah, right. No.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
I,
Opposed, same. Okay,
Who seconded that?
Larry,
From Dan?
Dan, and then Larry.
All right, on to 2023-065 for 801 Franklin Street. This is a non-contributing rated building because it was built in 1975, which is outside of the period of significance for Franklin Street. So that's
Not quite 50 years either.
we're getting very close,
Yeah.
very close.
could you just show us a picture so I can picture what
It
building
was
you're talking
Station
about?
801 on the corner of 8.
Oh, yeah, okay,
I mean, it was not a good remodel way back.
right.
So, the project, 3 parts to this one. Number 1, paint. We need approval of the paint color of the outside of the building, the logo and sign shape, and finally a new shed on the property. There's an existing little storage shed in the back. So, very small little, and so they're proposing a new storage shed in the same spot. And I think Kyle's got a picture of that one, of the proposed storage shed. At least I saw it on his computer screen, I don't know who's that.
So they basically just want
Well,
to fix
when
it
it
up the
was
way it is.
remodeled.
They want to just replace it with that newer storage
Oh,
shed.
right.
And then the
Sure.
building, yeah, no
And
changes,
that
just
was
paint and a new
Okay.
sign.
Okay.
And so we've got the logo for the sign somewhere, that was in the application.
Look for the green.
Colors on that, I hope this is the right one, black and white, is that right?
No.
That's you, okay. That's black and white for the sign.
Black and white on the sign,
Okay.
that's correct.
I remember talking to you, but obviously there were a lot of COAs this month, so I'm trying to keep it straight. And then he wants to paint.
And I have it shown.
Oh, excellent, thank you very much. Okay, so he's looking at. Where is that from? I was looking at the application because he's got a really nice diagram. Did you guys get the applications?
Did you bring supper?
So is this going to be your final resting place, or?
I've been hearing that a lot, you know what, it very well might be, we're busting at the seams now, and so we're excited to get into some new stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on Franklin Street's good too.
Okay, Kyle's got even bigger ones.
Kyle's got the
Great,
colors.
okay. So the upper portion of the building is the shark skin color. That's that one. Gray shade. And then the trim is white. And then the inset is the Victorian pewter. Okay. So this would be the 3 colors that he's looking at.
And what happens with the big copper thing over the door?
That is staying, if you look at it,
This.
I know it used to be an insurance agency at one point, I don't know what their last name was, but it looks like a K, so
It
we'll
was.
keep it.
It was. Oh, so you're keeping it because your last name starts
There you
with
go.
Q. Okay.
And this is the design for the sign. There'll be 3 different signs for this building. So on facing Franklin Street will be a rectangular sign that's 6 feet wide by 3 feet high. On the 8th Street facing side, it will be a round sign, 5 feet in diameter. And then on the back, there'll be one that's 72 inches by 40 inches. There's a sign there now on the back, so we'll just go where that one was. And those will all be in black and white, mounted on the wall like they are now. And there's a light above the sign. Yes.
So you're not increasing the size of the windows at all? Are you gonna keep the windows as they are?
Windows will be the same. Maybe in the future, we'll kind of take a look at the part facing the road, possibly some windows. I see some old pictures with windows in it. They could be all stuccoed up and things, but that's in the future.
Well, so many places, restaurants, find that the interaction with the street helps encourage business and, having the light come in, the natural light and things like that, and little tables outside and all that stuff. So hopefully you can do that in the future.
On this one, the finding of fact, the building's non-contributing to the historic district. The paint colors are not from the pre-approved color palette, but they are similar. The color, size, proportion, and location of signs meet the historic district guidelines, and the shed is set behind the building and replaces an existing non-historic shed. So 3 parts to the motion that I would recommend. Paint approval as submitted, signs approval as submitted, shed approval, and I failed to ask you what it's made out of with the condition it's wood or metal. It's wood. Okay, so approval of the shed as well. So approval of all of those things.
I'll make the motion to approve all of those things.
Oh, Amy.
The easiest one, I got it.
I'll second it.
All right, we're done.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Don't we need a board member to make the motion?
She is.
Oh.
She didn't know you were aboard. Amy, Gigi's new. Amy wasn't at the last meeting.
Okay, I hadn't met you before,
Oh,
okay.
I've met you a few times, but that's okay, no.
Oh, well,
And she is, so thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Okay, thank you.
And thank you for approving.
Yes,
Have a good evening.
anxious to come in there. Thanks. Okay.
Okay, are we on to, is it 2023-066?
Yep.
Okay, good. Got a lot of papers, I'm afraid I'm getting them out of order. So this is 308 Lafayette Street, directly behind 501 East 10. It's in American Foursquare. We've looked at this one in the past, so this is just more of the project on this particular house. So this particular time, we're looking at replacing exterior doors, and they removed the siding that was there. The wood siding underneath is usable, so that's a win. And looking to paint that with Sherwin-Williams Holiday Turquoise, which there's a sample of somewhere. Not in my report, but in the application there is one. Window and door trim will be white, and the doors themselves will be gray. So,
Is there anyone here from this?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
finding fact, the turquoise paint is not from the pre-approved color palette. Would not be typical for this time period, but it's paint. So anyway, historic doors should be retained if possible. So the recommendation would be approval of the door replacement with the exception of the front door unless it's determined by staff to be more than 50% deteriorated.
Which door? There's two.
The very front, not the setback one, but the one that's closest to the street that's got the glass in it,
Okay.
okay? Because that's a more typical historic door that has some glass in it. That one that's set back there, that needs help. And it's not historic at all, so not gonna argue about that one. Secondly, approval of front door replacement if it is necessary. If that door is beyond hope, we would want to have a new door matching the existing as much as possible in design details, whatever, and final approval by staff on that door that's closest to the street.
So you wouldn't have to come back here, staff can approve that.
Yeah, we can just approve that. And finally, approval of paint as submitted with the proper preparation of the wood underneath.
Yeah, 'cause there'll be some boards, and I've heard you guys talk before, I mean, there'll be some boards that we will have to replace, but we'll do it, I don't know, we want it to match exactly the same, so.
Okay.
But it did, to your point, I mean, you know, there's not, I mean, we started taking it off, wow, this is actually pretty nice, I mean, there was a lot of nails
I'll
that we had to
bet,
push in, but
I'll bet. But it does look
it'll look a lot
very
better
good.
once it's done,
Yes,
yeah.
it does,
It
so.
looks better than before, yeah.
It already looks better. I go by that way to the post office every night after work. Yeah.
Are you doing work inside the house too?
Yes.
Oh my.
Oh, that's
fine.
Yes,
It's a nice house.
And everything has been gutted in the most part
Oh, wow.
inside.
it's gonna be really nice.
Oh, that's terrific.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve as submitted by staff.
I second.
All in favor, aye. Opposed, same.
Thank you for all your work for the city.
Okay,
So just so I'm clear, so it's approval and everything, just the door, if we
That
change the door, let
closes.
us know.
Right, yeah, if you keep it, you're good. And if you wanna change it, Kyle and I shoot us some pictures of what you have in mind.
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
All right, next one, 2023-068, is 115 East 9th Street. It's a vernacular style building contributing, built around 1926. So the proposed project is addition of a fabric sign and 12-inch diameter logos in the window. This is where we have a picture of that also.
Is there anyone here representing that building?
Which building is this?
It's this little one.
115 East 9th.
They're right behind Oriental Pearl.
This is an example of a building where the mortar was not done well. And if you want to see an
It's
example
right
of the
behind
bathroom.
Oriental Pearl.
Okay.
It ends, there's an alley, and then, excuse me, the next building.
I know
So
where it
if
is.
you look at it from the side, there's this little bracket sticking out from the side wall. I'm sorry, it's hard to see. And that's what they want to hang this on. So they want to make it out of nylon fabric
That'll be so cute.
and just hanging up there. So
Oh, that's fine.
that's what they got in mind. So,
It'll stick out perpendicular to the sidewalk? Okay, that's nice.
so recommendation is approval is submitted.
Are we concerned about the height of it? How low it hangs?
If you can see the picture, Larry, it's up pretty high right
Oh.
here.
Okay,
Well, it's for,
It sticks up like right there.
okay.
You're gonna have to hang down pretty
And
low.
it's-
Kyle,
there's like a residence, and then it comes out a little bit, and there's this building. So it kind of hangs out towards that residence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I recommend approval.
Second.
Who said second? He
I
did.
did.
Thank you, Larry. All in favor, aye. Opposed, same. All right.
Okay, 2023-069. This is 408 East 10th Street, a contributing rated building, parapet front commercial building built around 1900. So the proposed project was replace sections of wood, cover replaced area with new wood, with split brick over the wood, add block windows, paint the front of the building the same color, and replace the front door. I've talked to the owner since then, you're the owner, okay, talked to him this afternoon, to Walter, and chatted about it. He gave me more information, so I understood the project a little better. So it's really cute little commercial building in a totally residential area. So over time, the zoning has changed, and so now it's zoned residential for duplexes as opposed to commercial. So kind of unusual. But he needed light in the building, but that's not the way we want to see it happen in the district. So my recommendation on this project would be that you deny what's been done and then let us work with him to come up with a new project that would be more suitable for a commercial building. So something with more glass, that would restore more of the look, that would still, and maybe he wants to change the zoning. I don't know, that's up to him if he wants to use it as a residential property, but it could still be zoned residential and have the glass in there. You know, the guidelines provide for ways to do that, where you can put a film on the backside to reduce visibility coming into the building, or a curtain, or there's a building in Wabash where they turned into actually apartments, and they actually built a wall back a ways back from that, but the front is all the glass, so it looks like a storefront. So I think we can work together to come up with something that hopefully is good for everybody.
Is it occupied right now?
No,
And are you thinking it will be residential?
I want to live there.
Because there are code requirements, again, that with the building code for light and air. And so you'd be required to have more window in the space. And, you know, as Deb said, it is understandable that you don't want to have the window right up front where everybody can see in. And unfortunately, people have to do something with some draperies or whatever, screens or something, but you are required to have it for light and air. And so if you didn't get held up here, you'd get held up in the building department for that.
Well, light may not be an issue, but the creating ventable windows might be. If they're gonna just restore, are there any windows there now?
No,
Is you converting it to residential?
yeah, like to.
It was a recording studio.
No windows on the sides at all?
They've been covered with bricks over the years.
Oh.
Yeah, so there, yeah, you're right, Gigi, it's gonna have a problem with that. There's gonna be more renovation required than you think to make it a residence.
Okay.
Every bedroom has to have an egress window, there has to be light and air requirements. Those are
This
the
is
big
not to
ones.
discourage you, it will make it better and safer, and safer.
If I wanted to just turn it into a store, how do I go about rezoning?
You would have to go, either you can talk with me afterwards, and I could pass you on to my colleague Sylvia Collins. She's the one who deals with variances, so you would potentially go through that
If
process.
this was commercial, could it be grandfathered in?
After 1 year, it loses its grandfather status.
It's been vacant,
Yes,
not used?
So you have to appear before the Board of Zoning Appeals.
correct,
And request the change
yes.
from residential back to commercial.
Well,
Well, that'd be a zoning
it-
variance.
Or not back to, but
Commission.
just change it.
Yeah, well, it'd be, to change it to a certain type of use. I mean, usually the Board of Zoning Appeals doesn't just do a blanket approval. There's a certain use that the applicant will say, this is the use I want, and then it would be applied to the property.
Right. So it probably would be a good idea for you to maybe just think about or get some professional advice on what's the better way for you to go with that. Is it going to be more economical for you to create a commercial space out of what's there and then have to go to the BZA? Or is it viable to make it a residential space? Maybe it's not as bad as we think it is. Especially if there were some existing windows that were blocked up, if those were opened up, you might be okay. But you're gonna need some planning and some guidance from an architect or designer.
Or even working with Sue Downs.
Sure.
To get some information. She might be able to help.
There may actually be some different standards for a loft type of space, too, with living room, dining room, bedrooms and stuff are all taking advantage of the light at the front. But it might be good if you can find somebody that can advise you about that.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a denial here, and everybody's had any questions or any other thing they want to state to Mr. Jackson? Okay, and then our recommendation would be then to get with Kyle and the building code inspector and go from there.
Okay.
All right,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
We still need to have a vote,
So can we have a vote?
motion and
A
a second.
motion for what
Motion to
was,
deny this petition.
okay, and a
I'll
second?
second.
Thank you. Amy, you're doing all the easy ones. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you. Okay,
We're happy that you're doing something, but let's work through it a little bit more. Okay, all right, thank you.
okay.
All right, now we're on to 2023-072 for 916 Pine. And I will have to say, I could not find the application. It was in with the staff approvals and I missed it. So I'm very sorry. We do not have a staff report for this one. This is one that it's a huge project and a laundry list of things, and most of them were staff approved ahead of time. So there's only just a few items that need to go before you guys, and I'm sorry that I don't have all this in front of me.
Is somebody here representing that?
They are. So you do have some pictures, at least. Whoops, wrong building, never mind. There are pictures. But, excellent, thank you. So they want to change some things on the siding on the garage. The siding, it's asbestos siding, and it's a rather narrow reveal. I mean, there's companies that make replacements for that, but it's wider, so it's not acceptable. And it's just a piece here and a piece there, so it's not like the whole wall. Nothing like, so it would be really not feasible to do it that way. So their idea, and I totally agree with this, was to remove the bottom rows of siding on the back, 2 sides, and then use those to fill in on the sides that face the street. So I think that's a great solution for that. Garage door, I don't have that photo, so I don't know. I'm sure it's probably just a
It's
very
like-
standard
it's almost
garage
like,
door.
yeah.
Okay, so pretty much replacing what's there with new garage doors. Looking at the front door, right, which is under
Yes.
plywood, or was when I was there.
Good, it still is.
Yeah.
It still is. So I'm not sure what, do we have a proposed door yet, or are you thinking
It's
about
just
that?
a full glass.
Oh, right at the top.
Oh, wow, lots of glass, okay. And the one that's there is a more modern door than
It
what
was
the
like a
house is.
It was a mid-century.
Yeah, so there was some mid-century remodeling that happened there, I think. So I don't think we want to replicate what's there. That's not period appropriate. That's plenty of glass for a front door on a residence. That'd be perfect on a commercial building.
This does also have that interior door, if you remember, there's that breezeway.
Vestibule.
So that's
Oh,
vestibule, you open it and then,
There's
So-
another door in there.
correct.
Okay,
I didn't know that.
I didn't either, but that, we just sold a house in South Bend like that, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Thank you. And will
Doors
this
are different.
door that you're proposing here, will that match the inside vestibule door?
It will be very similar to this.
Oh, that's nice, okay.
So when do we then have, so is the interior door still there?
The interior
Yeah,
is
so
still there.
it's that door vestibule, yeah, it's a similar vintage to that one in South Bend. That's really interesting. And it does have, it's not quite that much glass, but it's beyond 3/4. It's, I don't know what, like a 7/8 glass. It's an odd door.
See what they're doing with it.
But it's got that, and it's just got this little entryway, and then there's another exterior door and a storm door in front of that. So that makes
Way to enter a house.
yes.
Yeah, very, it sounds like you're describing the same property owners.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's got a lot of similarities to it, I think, just looking at this one, so. If that matches pretty close to what's clear inside, that's not a bad idea. And typically, an exterior door of that vintage has a little less glass than that, but I haven't seen that. We haven't been inside, because it was still a purchase in the works, so they didn't own it when I was there, and we didn't have any means for getting inside, and the real estate agent was in a meeting that I was going to be in, but
Did you need to see?
wasn't. Yes, so that's the front door. They're asking to put these corners on the pieces where the siding butts together on the corners. You often see that on older buildings. Would also recommend that.
Well, do you recommend it as a good thing to do for the building? To me, it looks like the kind of thing that might trap water and be a bad thing to put on the building. I don't quite understand the need for doing that. Is that something you've done on other places, or?
So many of the joints at the corners have split and opened up. So it would actually be, so these would be put on, sealed up, and actually to prevent intrusion by water and other elements. So that would be the purpose of doing them, and yeah, that's how it has been done, and that is the purpose behind it. So the plan would be to the corners that are affected to seal all those corners up and then put that over it and then paint those to match the exterior of the home, and it is just to protect those corners. So,
I don't have an objection to it from the way it looks at it, just, it concerns me in terms of, trapping, you know, water and wood and trapping it and letting things, rot and stuff are just so commonplace, you know, if flashings are not done right, you're just sunk and, you know, eventually things will, fall apart, so that was what concerns me. I get hyper about that kind of thing.
She's an architect, so that tells you why she's a little more.
And Deb, do we know, are those metal corners, is that historically accurate, or are we just kind of like?
Frequently, you see it frequently, yes, for that very reason, that over time, if they weren't mitered incredibly well, the wood shrinks over time or whatever, that there's separation at the corners, and then water gets in there. And it's a way that's commonly used to address that.
Well, I think what happens is that usually the corner has a wood piece on it and the siding dies into it.
That's my point.
Right, yeah, in this case,
So this is
they're
going to be
mitered
over
together.
it.
Yeah, so,
But that seems more like a more modern invention, like in the 50s.
yeah,
when that
probably
kinda started.
40s, 50s,
Yeah.
I would say. You know, about the time that some of this was starting to be a problem, because this is what, 20s or so, I think. So,
I mean, if we
that's
were,
just a solution they came up with.
if we were asked to rip down and put corners in, really like Hardy or something like that, that'd actually be preferable.
To do the vertical corners,
Right.
solid boards.
We just didn't think that was an option, so.
Yeah. No, I understand.
And you don't think it's reasonable to repair what's there and just to,
We would repair what's there, and then this would be to protect it into the future, so the same problems don't persist. Because it is widespread on the building, so many of the corners are separated, and they're separated in 5 to 7 foot heights, and so it's, you'd have to almost reside large portions of the building to
yeah.
really correct it. So,
That is an interesting question though, and I've seen these metal corners, and they still sell them. But the idea of them trapping moisture does seem like they could be problematic in that. And then, so I don't have enough experience to
Yeah,
know whether
I
they're
don't
good or
either.
bad, but they still sell them. So, I don't know. I'm not sure that it would be all that helpful for the cost involved. I wonder if it would be better just to do your patching of all the holes and the cracks and then just put a heavy coat of paint on it and see how that gets you along.
But for historic purposes, they're fine.
Yeah. And you
That's what
certainly
they
can
wanna
have
do.
conversations with the manufacturer who
right,
provides
we can
that.
look at that, because that's actually, your concern is what we were trying to, when we were looking at it as a remedy and you're looking at it as a risk, which I'm happy that it's brought up. because
Yeah,
I wouldn't have thought of it as a risk, it was the inverse.
because if you look at the detail of it, it goes down vertical, right? And then it has a bottom.
Pops up.
And then it pops, so it like creates like a little channel on the bottom where water can just sit there and.
If you do get intrusions, they're sitting there.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I can check with the manufacturer on that, and, obviously, we don't want to create more damage, we're trying to prevent further damage.
Yeah.
So,
I wonder if they make them without the bottom. Like, what if it was
I think
just
they
something
do.
that slid on there that was open on the bottom so that any water that did get behind there could air, dry out.
But for our purposes, they're approvable. For historic purposes, if you want to revisit it or research it more, that's fine.
right, and happy,
Just want to do what's best for the house.
right. That makes, both of those concerns make a lot of sense, so it would behoove us to go and.
So are we saying we can approve it with or without those?
Either way, I think it's
Yeah,
fine.
to-
We can approve
Yeah,
it with or
whatever.
without those. Okay.
It can go either way, so.
And it's more on us to decide whether it makes sense to actually protect it, or if we're putting a flying New England.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally, we have a porch light. This one up here is the current porch light, which is obviously not original to the house, but these are the ones they were looking at. I'm not sure that any of them are necessarily period to the house. I don't know.
Could I make a recommendation? Look at a company called Rejuvenation. Rejuvenation.
I use them all the time.
.com. Yeah. So they're going to have a lot of great, period reproduction pieces that you'll find that'll go with your vintage of house. And don't necessarily try to match the existing one because that's not necessarily right either.
Right.
Yeah, I would not try to match it.
I mean, even on their website, they'll show you pictures of vintage houses with their light fixtures installed. So just find a one that seems to go with your style of house.
Maybe we could revisit that if you find some, honestly, I did not take time to really dig into what is out there from the
Sure.
1900s, but these aren't bad, but I feel like there could be something a little bit better for the house, so if you could maybe,
Can we approve them subject to staff review and approval, so you can just work directly?
Yeah, that's great with me.
all right, so we've got garage door and siding, the front door, the corners, the porch light.
Gutters.
Gutters, yes, gutters. It did have building gutters at one time, those are no longer a thing in most places. In fact, you can see, like, here's where the downspout went for the building gutters, but now it's just a hole. And we've got this, and gutter pieces are kind of here and there. It definitely needs decent gutters and downspouts. That's
So this would be the standard gutter with an OG curve in it, yeah.
As well as the removal of the crown, the wood pieces behind the gutter.
I forgot about that, yes.
So behind the gutter right now, there's a small piece of crown that's pushing the gutters out. And so with them being covered by the gutter, we're requesting that we don't have to put that in so it can sit flat against the fascia.
Yeah, I can't imagine why that would be necessary.
Do you have a picture of it, Kai?
I don't have it. I don't have
You can't
kind of on the edge.
see it really well in there.
Yeah, it's
Crown back behind the gutter here?
almost right now. I don't think any of the crown was very visible because of the gutters.
Right, the
covering it.
gutters hide that. When it was the building gutters, that would have been, very visible, but
I think the
that's
gutter
the
is
thing in
kind
the
of
past.
acting like
It's
the
been ripped
crown
over.
in
Yes,
a way.
yes.
That's why it has that little OG profile to it.
Okay. I think that's everything.
I believe so.
Dan, do you want to say all that again?
Motion to approve all of that.
Yeah.
Well, we approve with the exception of the lighting being brought to staff for final approval.
All right, do we have a second to those two? Second, all in favor, aye. Opposed, same. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry you were at the bottom. Okay,
Sorry that I lost the
It's
application.
okay. I
That's
was
the
just-
worst part.
I was happy that I had the folders. in.
I am too. That was a
Thank you for
good
your
thing.
work in town.
Well, okay, so the last one, I do believe.
yes.
2023-073 is 514 East 8th Street, notable rated property, Craftsman built in 1910.
Is there anybody here representing that?
I am. Round two. Yeah, that's okay. So, two parts to this, they're looking at replacing the basement exterior door with a standard 6-panel steel door painted black, and then repainting portions of the house and trim, same as the existing, which is Sherwin-Williams. Gossamer veil for the body and tricorn black for the trim. Neither of those are, of course, on the historic color palette that's pre-approved, but they're the colors that are there. Also, in the finding of fact, historic doors should be retained if possible. The door is on the rear of the house. The condition of the existing door is unknown. That's actually one thing I haven't checked out on that house. So the motions would be, one, to approve replacement of the door if the existing door is determined to be beyond repair. the guidelines do allow, I looked this up last night, it does allow replacement of a door for safety purposes. So I was gonna say, if safety is just the only issue, we could recommend putting a deadbolt on it. You know, it looks, I can't tell what condition the door's in. They can tell us about that. And then approve the paint as submitted, with the condition that the bricks are repaired as necessary before painting, because there's a lot of sorry looking bricks.
Are you painting the whole house?
The whole house was painted. This house had a fire. I bought it, did it, and it had a fire. And then I had CertPro come in, and there were decisions made, and for any of you that have enjoyed this process with 514, please, my apologies for what went on. There's some miscommunications along the way, but it is a great house right now, and I just want it to be safe and beautiful. That's why the garage issue came up last, so I could use the bricks to repair. And then also, those bricks match 938 Michigan Boulevard, it's another house I own, and probably match House and Trail Creek doing also. So, because old bricks are like gold, I mean, especially beige ones. I mean, they're
Not a lot of those.
yeah, anyway, so, that needs to be fixed up, the final touches, so.
I had a comment though on is there a suggested door though replacement?
Yeah, the 6-panel.
So do we consider this building like a colonial style though? Because that's what that 6-panel door is.
No, we don't. We consider it a craftsman. So the style of door is really appropriate to the house. That's why I said if it's at all in any condition,
the
then
one
it would be great
that's
to keep it. I realize it's on.
Yeah, this is the one that's
It's kind of like water,
appropriate, that's
yeah,
not.
underneath, and it's kind of rotted down at the bottom, and it's not safe for exit, it's kind of boarded up
And you
now.
can
So,
still get those.
especially having had fire there.
Yeah.
Really proud of safety.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, if you want
Okay,
to
so,
do style of door, that's fine, I just feel that this door is beyond repair. Otherwise, I wouldn't suggest replacing it, because it's back, yeah, I keep
Yeah,
it.
no,
so if it's rotted at the bottom, she says, and leaking
And the
water.
frame is rotted, the door itself is rotted, the frame is rotted, there's no sill.
Okay.
Water
a lot of
leaves and
problems.
grass, and it is unable to be secured right now, there's a 2x4 that's over there.
That's a problem. Yeah, well, in that case, I guess I would recommend a style like the existing, if there's something similar to that, but in a better material, a modern
And if you
material.
can't find that, even just a 2-panel door would be better than the 6-panel.
Okay, fine.
Just avoid that 6-panel because it's a
No,
colonial.
I agree, that was a miscommunication.
Okay.
Yes, I understand.
All right, good.
So, yeah,
But so the paint is, the bricks are being painted?
No, they are, she's
They already are.
white, right, it's already painted.
we already are painted on the house.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand the extent of work then.
It's already painted.
See,
And so what else is, so all this is about repairing that?
And then they're gonna paint it to match.
Oh, no, that would be painted to match. Okay, so what was this about the black paint? For trim?
the trim.
The trim around.
So,
White, where it's white, you're proposing black?
I can't remember what's the other one? There are two
There's the
doors
trifold on the rear.
on the rear.
On the rear, there's one black and one white.
Yeah, so we want them both to be black.
Okay, but this is the front. The front, you're not painting at all?
So the front,
That's an old,
the front, what ended up happening was when Servpro did their work, then they ended up
Looks like that.
doing work without getting the COAs. So we came in to finish up the work that was unfinished and went and said, okay, so here's the paint we're gonna use in the front to match. Didn't realize there had never been a COA done. So then Kyle said, well, I can't approve this COA or I can't just approve you to continue with the same thing because nobody ever did it in the first place.
right.
Doesn't.
They said they did.
What?
That guy ended up getting fired and what are these
just another story like that, but.
Was the color ever black on the exterior? Was the trim? So somebody just did it out of the blue?
Yes.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, Surf Pro usually was a little more sensible than that. I'm a little surprised.
They were the ones from Valparaiso. I don't know if you knew that or not. But Serpro, yeah.
They're no longer licensed in Michigan City, so I don't know.
They did my neighbor's house, that's the only reason I'm agreeing with you, because it was awful.
Yeah.
They were out in their
No,
cars,
it's terrible.
trucks.
This is like
on their phone.
2019. You know, it was just, and I've done other ones like 402 East 8th, it's mine, 901 Wabash, beautiful Victorian. Just, I appreciate it. Kept all the woodwork in this house, the woodwork was saved, the fire department did an amazing job saving my floors. Just, it was, this one's been a struggle because of the circle. But you kind of have to because of the insurance part.
Yes, by far. The other picture's from 2018, actually.
Do you need, would this be helpful?
She's got a
I
nice.
just found just the one in our files was from 2018, so,
Yeah.
in the property file, but yes.
Yeah, I didn't take note of it.
That looks much nicer than the pictures we have.
Oh, okay, good. Thanks.
It's in better condition. The black is just so out of keeping with the area.
Okay, are there any other questions? Then
Well, are we going to take to vote about the black trim for the windows?
it's already
It's
done.
already there.
Well,
I mean, they're new windows.
Yeah.
Right, I mean,
Some are new. I
Some are
saved
new.
the ones. I also
Right.
saved windows. I can.
what is, are they wood windows or
They're
vinyl windows?
wood windows.
So they were painted black.
The ones on the main, yes.
There are storm windows on the exterior, and they have aluminum frames, and the aluminum is black. Let me see if I can find and actually that was not painted black by Surf Pro. Let me see if I can find it.
It's just so out of keeping it.
I didn't even know they did that kind of work. Did you, Surf Pro? I thought they just cleaned up.
It's right down the street.
Oh, no,
Okay, so it's just out of keeping. We don't have a lot of.
So they consider themselves general contractors?
Oh, they put their own bathroom fixtures and everything. I go in and, what? I mean, it was just insane. Mostly because I was physically working at 402, my Jewel, and I just kind of let it go, and it's just sort of an unhappy situation, and so.
so in 2018, October of 2018, she was before us for approval. The project at that point in time was Quality Edge aluminum coil trim in charcoal gray, and Certainty Northwood's rough split shakes to go up in the gables in charcoal gray, and that was all approved by the commission in 2018.
Did we approve the black then?
Well, charcoal gray is dark.
And is that an acceptable color in this district?
Sherwin-Williams.
It was approved in 2018. I can't comment. You know, I don't know what the.
Well, they were Sherwin-Williams.
That's the current colors that they're bringing to us. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, aluminum coil was in a
But
very
our
dark color. Was approved.
guidelines might allow Sherwin-Williams, but don't we also have some guidelines about the colors?
But what Deb is saying, this was approved in 2018.
Okay. I don't know. It doesn't look terrible. I'm not reacting to it like, oh my God, what a mess they made at the house. It just is not in keeping with what's been approved generally for this area. So I don't know how it came about, but if it was approved, then what can we say?
Yeah. It was a difficult time in Michigan City for preservation. Let's just say. Projects did not get the review that they're getting today, but there's a lot of better looking projects because they're being reviewed in a better way.
So we all had COVID had when that was.
That was before that.
Well, it was right at the start.
2018 though, that was a little early.
Yeah, I don't know, a couple of years before, so how it got passed is,
Anyway,
yeah.
that part's unfortunately done, so.
Belongs to that. I think this is,
Somebody's, okay.
Oh, that's your phone, thank you.
I was just showing that it had
Appreciate it.
previously been painted that, so I don't know if it's
yeah, we
still.
appreciate that. Yeah, because this one is old.
Yeah, that's interesting, okay.
And we'll have to go after Deb because it says filed by Deb on August 28th, 2023. This, but it's on this picture.
Not, the picture wasn't, the report.
It's on the report, but here's the picture.
It's the
from
only
way back.
picture I had on file.
So are these rental properties for you?
That one will probably be an Airbnb, in collaboration with Barrel House Lofts, the event space. And Zorn also is doing a lot of work with they expanded their event space, so there's a demand. I own the Eagle Building, 522. So that second floor, that's where we're putting the restaurant next to Fluid. And then the second floor residential, that would be my place.
Amazing,
I want to live there. I have 2 chefs living at my other Airbnb to keep them strong while we do the build-out process. And then the third floor of the Eagle Building will be a ballroom restored to its 1920s glory.
Oh, nice.
There's a lot happening here all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
exciting.
I've been working at it for a while.
Good, well, thank you. That's exciting. Because I love that balcony out there.
I know, it's just that fireplace too.
Yeah, that's where I'm gonna live.
You should, you should.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't know what we were doing with that one. I'm completely lost. Is there a motion for anything?
No.
No.
I didn't think so, okay, there's never anything.
No, there is
Okay.
not, has not been a motion.
Doors in paint color,
Okay.
that's, or door singular, yeah.
So it's just replacing that
Replacement
door.
of a door
Okay.
in
In the
a
back of
particular
the
style.
home.
Back, yeah.
Now, is it 2 apartments in this building or is it?
No, when the fire happened, it burned up a staircase and burned all the way through and up. And because of the balloon construction, smoke got everywhere. And then, of course, the firemen come in and then there's water everywhere. So it was a better choice to make that a gracious single family. Because it had been a 3-bedroom, 1 bathroom. So transformed it into 4 large bedrooms and 40-some foot living room. I call it the veranda house. It's got that big porch.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, because the front porch is quite large.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Can I have a motion? And this ought to be a good one.
Dwayne?
I'm lost. Approval. I'm hungry.
Same. Starving.
Well, we are approving the paint, but we're recommending approving the door, but recommending that the door, the new door match
Done.
the existing in style.
Okay. Gigi's making that motion.
That is the motion, yes.
Say that again about.
She's doing the door right now. She's saying.
Well, I think we're approving the paint, which has already been done, and then and approving the replacement of the back door, but in keeping with the style of the existing.
Okay, great. I second.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Wow.
If Greg is ever gone ever again, he's up
in
the
trouble.
creek, yeah.
Say
Yeah, I
it's in
have
the house
personal
tonight.
conversation with him.
I would like to recommend we all go over to Dwayne's house. He should call his wife and we're going there to eat.
Why not?
It's on the way home. It's right down the street.
And we'll go 2 doors down to her house.
Come on.
That's right.
Finish it up there.
That's right, you can. All right, any committee reports?
No, but we have new business.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, I'm not there yet. Any old tabled business? about new business.
Thank you, thank you.
Probably see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yes, so the first thing is the double track historic district panels. So I've been working with the double track with NICD in terms of determining, so part of the agreement for the new station is the placement of display panels in our historic districts. So we will be placing one in the Franklin district and then one in Elston Grove.
So
I'm gonna
one on the
pass-
front, one on the side.
One along Franklin Street and then one somewhere within the Elston Grove neighborhood.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pass around my map. So the blue stars show proposed spots. Black X's show signage that is already existing.
And these are signs just indicating where the train is?
No, these are gonna be panels. So kind of like so they'll probably be about this big, and they'll be slanted a little bit. So kind of like when you go to a museum, where they have the display.
Information.
Oh, I see,
So,
And this will contain information about the district?
yes, about the district.
Cool.
So either the content has not been determined yet, but so here are images
Where they're gonna be
of
possible.
proposed.
Okay.
Report on getting the word out.
Okay.
I have to leave it.
Thank you.
Understandable.
Thank you.
It just looks like it because of the corner.
So this kind of a sign?
No.
The kind that they have over on Wabash for the, for the Barker.
But bigger and longer and
Okay.
more of like it's like a
But yes, roughly.
drafting kind of table, how it's kind of angled, but just a. Anyway.
So, yeah, I have this before you guys to first review it, and then also if you want to, we can vote this month.
So say again, what does the blue versus the black?
So the black are, so the black X's are existing signage that indicates the historic districts.
Okay, right.
And then the blue stars are proposed spots.
For the panels.
For the panels.
For the new ones.
So how many would there be? 4?
There would be one in the Franklin district and then one in Elston.
So two.
So 2 total. The best spot in Elston, unless you guys don't agree, was to put it in front
Here.
Of the Nika building. Okay. Yeah.
And then for
And then one of these on Franklin.
Yeah, one of
Okay.
those in Franklin.
Yeah, got it.
Love it.
That seems good.
So would you like to make a decision tonight, or
Yes,
would you like
sure.
for it to go in front, or do you guys next month?
No, I think we
Let's
can
do
make a
it.
decision.
Yeah.
I mean, the only decision to be made is which one on Franklin.
Correct.
One
So
on the 7.
I guess I don't have a preference, whichever one you think. Maybe more toward the middle.
So that would be closer to 6th Street then?
Correct.
Yeah.
And then one out here.
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
sounds good.
who would like to make that motion?
Make the motion.
Thank you, Dwayne. Second, please.
I second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you.
So that was for the 6th Street?
6th Street.
Okay.
So then at some point then you'll come back then with some kind of a design and content and all that?
Yes, yes. Yes, we were just working on right now the location. Okay.
Now we're doing an update on getting the word out about the historic districts.
That would have been.
Okay.
Dan was gonna do that, but his ride was
He
here.
had to leave, so since he's responsible and I did the talking, I guess I can report on that. The first Wednesday of the month, I believe it was, Wednesday or Thursday, we were on the radio for during his program that he has this Thursday, I believe, actually. Was an hour-long program, and so he did the talking and I answered the questions and we were back and forth. So a lot of information went out. I hopefully one or two people listened, I hope, somewhere.
What station is it?
That's a great question.
WIMS?
Yeah, Blake. County Line Road and then west. I
Yeah,
remember that.
yes.
So whatever that is.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was gonna be in Porter County, but anyway. We did that. I think that was great exposure. It was also Facebook Live at the same time.
Yes.
So it was going out multiple ways. So lots of things about the historic district. The following week, I was at the Exchange Club meeting and was their speaker and apparently did okay, I guess. So,
I got a report I was at a meeting on Saturday and they said, do you know a person from the historic preservation? She's like, has some title, and she came and gave us a program, and I said, oh yes. He said, that was an excellent program. She was in detail, she answered questions, she acted like she knew what she was doing. And I said, you know what, she does. So,
She wasn't acting. She
no,
was,
she really
She
does.
does know.
So yeah, I got several from people in the Exchange Club saying
Awesome.
she did a great job, so.
that was good. So we had that opportunity, and then the week after that, there was a real estate agents expo at the casino, and Dan had a table there, so they had this expo for like an hour or so, and then they had a speaker and a meal. And so we were part of that. So Kyle and I were both there. And Blake, my counterpart from Porter County and points west towards Chicago. So kind of overlaps, with his as well. So yeah, again, opportunities to speak to people, and I think hopefully we made a connection with someone whereby we'll be able to do a presentation to the realtors directly. And I've talked more in depth with Blake, and in the past, Indiana Landmarks has had some training for real estate agents that counts for continuing education credits, so we want to dust off some of that, bring it up to date, and hopefully be able to do that for all of LaPorte County. Awesome. So that's something we've got in the future.
Great. It's a positive too.
Yeah, I think it was good. So it's a good start. I think there's still many, many things we can do. I was just on a webinar last week where they were talking about getting the word out. Everybody's got this problem across the
And I
United
know
States.
Greg is working still on trying to get something to go into the water bill or something, so we're still working on that.
I think that's a great start.
Yeah.
They even talked about one commission just went out and had little door hangers made and just stuck them on doors. Didn't take long, no postage. So I think
That's a good idea too.
I think that's a good thought. We were supposed to have Kurt Garner here tonight to talk about a preservation plan, but when Kyle and I saw how the lineup was looking, we kind of panicked, so I got a hold of Kurt and he's like, oh my soul. He said, these people will glaze over and fall asleep. I don't want to do this to them. So we pushed him off possibly until September. One thing, we've got a lot of stuff coming in, so I don't know how that's going to be, and we've tried to be extremely flexible on our deadlines, which is why you get paperwork very late, because we want to accommodate as many projects as we can. We don't want to hold people up. So technically, the cutoff date for applications for your meeting is 2 weeks ahead of time. So that gives us lots of time to review and get ready. And we've been running that.
About a week.
Yeah, and that's really not enough time to be real honest about it when you've got this many. Next month is Preservation Conference, and Kyle and I will both be in Muncie in the week just prior to your meeting. So we're gonna try to hold fast to the
September
11th.
11th will be the deadline.
It's the cutoff, which is 2 weeks before the meeting, so the agenda may be a little lighter, and hopefully we would have time for Kurt then. If we can't get him then, I don't know, towards the holidays probably. But
Or
it's still coming.
January maybe, because we don't usually
Yeah,
have quite as many in January.
that is true, so.
Is it hard for him to be here in person versus just being like on,
It's not, he just didn't want to be, when you have an hour and a half of,
oh yeah, no,
COA
I understand
is
that.
just
I mean,
like-
I'm just trying to be a little bit.
and then
more flexible.
October, he's on vacation, so
Okay.
he won't be around.
Right.
And then it gets a little more, our schedules are a little more tough after that. But just one other thought that came across my mind tonight while I've got everybody here, but, I feel like Dana White, I'm holding this up to show everybody what's on here. Is it possible that I do this on the screen? The color would be a lot better
That would be an option.
during the meeting. I mean, I would still send you guys reports, so hopefully sooner.
I think
But if we would do that, that way you could see all those photos.
Yes.
And then maybe I would send less photos, so the file size would be smaller going out to you guys. We could have more photos up there and you could see them larger and in detail. We could zoom in if we needed
great
to.
idea.
It's
Or it would be
not-
helpful, yeah.
Oh, very
And
helpful.
then we're saving money on printing.
Paper.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to start doing that next month, and if that suits everybody and suits IT people as well.
Well, I think so.
Okay.
I do have one comment, and I did talk to Kyle, and I asked Amy, is that her name? Foster?
Amanda.
Amanda, I knew it was an A.
It's close.
I did not get a packet, and now I'm hearing that most of you did not get a packet. She said she sent them out on Wednesday, so I'm thinking she might have, on Wednesday after work, took them down. They should have been to us today for sure, if not Saturday. So if they come tomorrow, we need to let Kyle and Amanda know. And I don't know what the answer's going to be. I don't know if we need to pick them up on a certain day, if we can, or I don't know.
I don't mind if you just bring it to the meeting. I don't need to analyze it in
Okay.
advance. I can look at it and read it right here at the meeting.
Well,
So-
see, you're better than me, Larry. I like to go and look at that house and okay, this is what that one looks like.
Okay.
But that's okay if everyone wants that.
That's okay with me too, because I really find that the reports from you with the
Yes.
photos and stuff are really more essential to get in advance.
It's just nice to have an agenda before we come. I'm
Yeah.
using her agenda.
Well, we could get the agenda at least, and that could be sent to us as a PDF.
Just an email, right?
Right.
Saying what's going on.
Being an ex-postal worker, we used to be able to hold some things out for the city, but now our mail goes to Illinois.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that's an issue right now. So
Yeah.
I don't know if we can make that contact with somebody at the post office and say,
Wow.
here, this is it, and can we please hold this out and go directly to the carriers? Possibility.
The postmaster here now is not the easiest lady to work
Who
with.
is the postmaster? I don't know.
I don't know her name. She doesn't have any cards, but I did talk with her and she said she has no control.
Okay.
So, but I just feel if was sent on Wednesday, somebody should have got it by today.
I mean, if it needs to be sent out earlier, that can,
Maybe we need to do that. I don't want to press anybody, but
if it's what has to happen, it has to happen.
okay. All right, well, if you need help, let me know. I don't know how I can help you, but I'd be happy to. I know you're going to be overwhelmed, so.
Assistant.
I'll get off of that.
Within Michigan City, it's still.
Any other, how about public, and you two gentlemen have anything to add or
It's
say?
really always been that
Just
way.
first time here, just
Well,
taking it all in.
Thank you for staying, we appreciate that. All right, and I'm sure that any staff comment, Kyle, except that you're overwhelmed right now.
And he's gonna hate the fact, I'm sorry, I'm like, yeah, I'm not a professional minute, I'm sorry.
Well, you need to get on.
Sorry, Kyle, I'm sorry, Kyle, I'm sorry, Kyle, I'll buy you coffee when I see you walk by.
I don't think that works. Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we are adjourned until our next meeting.